greater market-based allocation of foreign currency, and facilitated the development of price discovery in the interbank foreign exchange market. This lowered structural reliance on the Bank of Botswana for foreign exchange transactions and in turn reduced pressure on official foreign exchange reserves. Third, these measures strengthened confidence in the sustainability and credibility of the exchange rate framework, reinforcing Botswana's macroeconomic resilience during the challenging period. Collectively, the July reforms enhanced the economy's capacity to adjust to external shocks while safeguarding stability. With regard to financial stability developments, as reported in the October 2025 Financial Stability Report, vulnerabilities and risks emanating from credit developments and monetary policy posture remain contained. Therefore, the domestic financial system remains resilient, robust, safe, sound, and continue to provide a range of financial services to support the economy, and that is well supported by macroeconomic policies and regulatory frameworks. Now, looking ahead to prospective economic developments in 2026. Global economic growth is expected to remain subdued at 3.3% in 2026, unchanged from 2025. While near growth prospects have improved modestly, underpinned by resilient consumption and investment, heightened policy uncertainty, particularly surrounding trade, industrial, and fiscal policies, continue to pose risks to consumption and private investment decisions. Regarding price developments, global inflation is projected to moderate further in 2026, reflecting the cumulative effects of the slower pace of monetary policy easing implemented since 2024, which kept interest rates at relatively high levels, as well as the anticipated decline in international commodity prices, particularly oil. Domestic economic developments in 2026. As mentioned by the Honorable Minister and Vice President in the 2025 budget speech, Botswana's real domestic product is projected to expand by 3.1% in 2026, from an estimated contraction of 0.4% in 2025. It is anticipated that recovery in the mining sector and effective implementation of the economic transformation reforms would be supportive of economic activity through facilitating expansion of productive capacity, accelerating economic transformation, and enhancing resilience. Monetary policy also remains largely accommodative, given the projections for lower inflation into the medium term, therefore conducive for financing of economic activity. Inflation is forecast to generally rise in the near term, but to remain within the 3 to 6% objective range into the medium term, supported by stabilizing exchange rate dynamics and prudent monetary policy management. It is notable in this regard, through the December 2025 Business Expectations Survey, that the business community expects inflation to remain within the objective range in 2026, implying that inflation expectations are well anchored. Now the 2026 monetary policy stance. As already indicated, inflation is forecast to be within the medium-term objective range, and inflation expectations are well anchored. Moreover, the recent and prospective developments for both domestic and external economic activity suggest that the economy will operate below capacity in the short term. If this situation persists, then it may allow for accommodative monetary policy in 2026. For 2026, asymmetric trading margins on the exchange rate framework were introduced, reducing the rate at which the Bank of Botswana buys foreign exchange from commercial banks from 7.5% to 3% relative to the central parity, while the sell rate remains unchanged at minus 7.5%. The adjustment enables exporters to realize more pula per unit of foreign currency, thereby strengthening incentives for foreign currency inflows and supporting the preservation and potential accumulation of official foreign exchange reserves. Furthermore, the annual downward rate of crawl was maintained at 2.76% for 2026, consistent with updated forecast of inflation differentials between Botswana and its trading partners. Similarly, the composition of the pula currency basket was also maintained at 50% for the South African rand and 50% for the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights to moderate the volatility of the pula against the South African rand and support the competitiveness of Botswana's goods and services in the South African market, which remains a key trading partner. As I conclude, distinguished guests, I wish to underscore that the bank is committed to maintaining price and financial stability by focusing on and delivering on its specific roles. The bank contributes to the maintenance of a conducive environment for structural reforms and transformation initiatives to gain traction, potentially leading to higher rates of economic growth needed to transition the economy to a higher income status. Given that monetary policy is accommodative and banks are directed to be in alignment with respect to lending interest rates. Very important. Immediate implementation of transformation initiatives and structural reforms are expected to raise prospects for faster growth and economic diversification. Against this background, enhanced productivity or innovation of industry and effectiveness of support institutions and service providers would help improve growth prospects for the economy in an environment of price and financial stability. The Botswana economy is at a defining moment, at the intersection of the end of the glory days of the diamond era and the dawn of the new opportunities in the horizon. However, we must remember that opportunities are like a rainbow. They don't last forever.
If we don't seize them, they pass, just like the rainbow. To reach our true north, each of us, and I mean each and every one of us, must recognize the opportunities within our sphere and act decisively. Progress will not be driven by a single institution or sector. It will require collective effort, shared responsibility, and coordinated action. At the Bank of Botswana, together with the broader banking sector, we have already started implementing the recommendations of the Botswana Economic Transformation Program and other initiatives that we consider critical for strengthening the economy. We remain committed to playing our part. Monetary policy alone, however, cannot generate sustainable long-term growth. Our role is to provide a stable and enabling macroeconomic environment, one that supports credit extension, financial intermediation, and the ease of doing business. The call is, therefore, for all stakeholders, public and private, to play their part. No contribution is too small. Each effort matters, and together, those efforts will determine whether we simply observe the rainbow or move decisively towards it. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Governor, for those highlights indicating how the central banks continues to ensure price and financial stability. We are now moving to the actual launch of the monetary policy statement report. This is where the session, where the part where if the minister was here, the report would be actually handed over to him. Actually, we produce a publication and then what the governor was doing was giving the highlights of that publication. So now we are going to be having the QR code on the screen and then kindly asking the governor to scan and then send to the Minister of Finance. And then after that, yes. After that, we would now give you distinguished guests an opportunity to scan and download the program for your future engagement with the report. So at this moment, in about 3 seconds, we will be handing over the report to the Minister of Finance. Thank you, Governor. The peers, I take it that you've also received the copy. And distinguished guests, feel free to scan. I'll give you about 3 seconds. Scan and download. In case you cannot scan or download, the publication will also be available on the bank website. Under the publications link, it will be the monetary policy statement. Thank you so much. We are now moving to the next session, where we are now going to be engaging you, our stakeholders, through a panel discussion that we call the Fireside Chat session. To lead this session, we will be having Dr. Motobi, who is going to be moderating the session. Dr. Motobi is the member of the Bank of Botswana Monetary Policy Committee. As an external member, you recall that there are 4 external members who join the bank's members to form this committee. Dr. Motobi is an economist with more than 15 years of progressive experience in analytical and advisory services in the areas of financial and industrial policy. His work has emphasized the areas of industrial and value chain development, competition and regulation, international trade, and public finance. Dr. Motobi is also a lecturer of economics at the University of Botswana. He has previously worked as a short-term consultant at the IFC World Bank Group and the International Telecommunications Union. Distinguished guests, a warm welcome and round of applause for Dr. Motobi as he comes to stage to take over the next session. Dr. Motobi.
Director of Ceremony, allow me to write on the protocol that has been already established. That being said, allow me to recognize Chief Justice Honorable Mr. Halapelo Kitoretsu. Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Dr. Korapet, Governor, Mr. Lesego Kastamoseki, and Lou, and then the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my distinct honor to introduce this special segment of the 2026 Monetary Policy Statement launch. This year's discussion is convened under the theme, A New Dawn for Botswana, Implications for Monetary Exchange Rate and Financial Stability Policies. The theme is both timely and strategic as Botswana navigates shifting global economic conditions, domestic structural transitions, and emerging financial risks. The role of monetary policy, exchange rate management, and financial system stability has never been more critical. Esteemed guests, allow me to mention some highlights of 2025 relating to economic growth and monetary policy development. Overall, the global economic growth stagnated at around 3.3% in 2025, lower rate when compared to an average of 3.7% for the period between 2000 and 2019. For Botswana, the economy contracted by 0.4% in 2025, an improvement from a decline of 2.8% in 2024. While global inflation have moderated from around 5.8% in 2025 to 4.1% in 2025, in Botswana, inflation remained below averaging around 2.7% for the year. This is consistent with constrained growth both locally and globally. In October 2025, the bank took a bold decision following a misalignment between the monetary policy stand and market interest rates and increased the monetary policy rate by 160 basis points from 1.9% to 3.5% and instructed banks not to increase their PLRs, an exercise that was necessary to strengthen monetary policy transmission, improve liquidity management, and support the preservation of the foreign exchange reserves. Some key takeaways include the adjustment of Pula currency basket, weighing from 45% South African rand and 55% special drawing rights to equal weights of 50% each. The annual downward rate was also increased to 2.76% in July 25 to align the exchange rate with relative inflation developments and preserve competitiveness. The trading margins were also widened to plus or minus 7.5% in July 2025 to enhance flexibility, support market-driven price discovery, and easy pressure on official foreign exchange. Today's fireside chat provides a platform to explore how policy frameworks must adopt to support sustainable economic growth, safeguard price stability, and strengthen financial resilience in this new era. We look forward to a very rich and insightful exchange that not only reflects on current realities, but also charts a credible pathway forward for Botswana's macroeconomic future. My role here this morning is simple, though certainly not an easy one. I have a privilege of guiding our discussion and ensuring that we have a focused, engaging, and insightful conversation. It is now my honor to introduce our esteemed panelists who bring a wealth of experience, expertise, and perspective into the important dialogue. The first panelist is a distinguished economist with a career badge spanning over 15 years in competition policy and law, industrial policy and development finance. She has previously worked for Industrial Development Corporation in South Africa and the Competition Commission of South Africa. Currently, she serves as the Director of Measures and Monopolies at the Competition and Consumer Authority of Botswana. She holds a master's degree in commerce from the University of Stellenbosch and Amsterdam, and a Bachelor of Science in Economics from University of Cape Town. She has recently received the prestigious Executive Development Program certification at the Stellenbosch Business School, strengthening her executive leadership capabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Director of Measures and Monopolies, Competition and Consumer Authority, Ms. Nomathemba Dladla. Please take the second seat from. Thank you. The second panelist is the Chief Executive Officer of Access Bank